opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends up there at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here every day on this show and at YSN. As you can tell, we have a special guest joining us at the top of the show. We're going to continue our softball and baseball previews today as we go into Canfield for their head softball coach, Mike Kernan. Welcome back to the wonderful world of high school softball, back to the area. Coach, we missed you. First, before we get started, this welcome back. How's it feel to be back in this area and coaching again?
Thank you. That's much appreciated. Thank you for having me, and I am very happy to be back.
All right, so here you are with Canfield, a new team. You know, you're not in green anymore like you used to be. Now you're in that red, cardinal red. First question is, like, what drew you to this job? What made you want to take over the Canfield softball team? What were some of the factors when deciding where you wanted to kind of land yourself and call home?
Timing, circumstances, probably two important pieces. And the opportunity, you know, was always in the back of my mind, you know, what it would be like in a public school system. And after being at Ysn for 20 years, and here I am, and I know Canfield has always been rich in talent, nice softball talent, and I am very fortunate to be the Canfield softball coach and be here with the talent we have, the team we had, and just the in general, the whole scenario is a nice setup for myself.
You've been able to have a lot of time with these girls now out in the winter scrimmages, the indoor scrimmages, and now here we go trying to get outside for the last couple of weeks of this offseason before opening day. So I'm going to have you run down your roster, kind of some of the players that you think are going to be really key for your success this year, and maybe some of the upcomers that are going to be a little bit new to the varsity level as well.
And I tell you what, that's a great situation I fell into, is the talent and the roster on this team. We have great leadership in our seniors. It's been tough for me this whole offseason trying to repeat all these seniors at hand, but I'm going to try. Their leadership is incredible. Their talent's great. We had great offseason workouts in the winter. You know, what's allowable by OSHA has been extended this year, and we took advantage of that. And the kids just responded tremendously. And I give a lot of credit to the leaders and seniors on this team. And returning from last year would have been Gianna Panunzio, was a starter from last year's squad. Bella Kennedy, I think she was all AC player. Haley Freedy. We had Kara Spencer returning. Mackenzie Koenig, Hayden Merritt, Emma Campbell, and Taylor Morrison are the seniors and the leaders that are true asset to the team chemistry we have brewing right now. And I guess if you don't mention their ace number one pitcher from last year, who's a junior this year, Milena Toth, a starter from last year's squad at junior, Macy Kalina, and a sophomore this year, excellent athlete in Marina Koenig as well. If I started getting into the underclass that's showing promise here, that's probably too long of a list, but I'm still at awe. That's probably one of the biggest obstacles I have for myself is picking this senior varsity group. I continue to tell my JV coaches, you guys are going to have one heck of a team. I know that. Whatever is not on varsity and what's down at JV. But so there's a lot of young talent who's been working out with probably the three kids who've been working out with the varsity group from the younger group would be a freshman Leah Figueroa, freshman Jenna Treveri, sophomore Sydney Lutz, and a junior Faith Morrill. But not naming everybody, there's just really a competitive scenario, fortunate scenario for myself in Canfield softball.
When talking about this team and the roster, I think everyone has to start with Melina Toth inside the circle. She sets the tone for you guys. She has for the last 2 years in the circle for you guys. You've had the chance to work with her for a little bit. What have you noticed from her? What kind of things do you think that she's going to bring even better this year? Now she's an upperclassman going into her junior season.
I'm gonna lean on experience and leadership. She's a very strong individual, a great player to coach. I think coachable is one word I left out for that whole group. I'm almost having too much fun with this whole group. It scares me. But coachable, they're all coachable too. But Melina Toth is very coachable for being as great of a pitcher as she is. Her and I are building an excellent relationship, and we're trying to, if I can help her grow more, we're going to do that. And she's open to it. And we're really, I think that's a great asset from her standpoint that she brings with our relationship and to the team. As good as she is in her maturity, she's still willing to grow, and she's not afraid to be a leader on this team as well.
We know it starts in the circle, but last year the offense at Canfield was also very potent. I know you lost a couple of those bats from graduation, but you also return a lot of really great swingers and really great offensive threats. What do you think this offense is going to look like? What do you think this lineup is going to look like this year for Canfield?
It's going to be solid. I'll say that. Again, I have at least 15 kids to pick from. If I can't get them to score runs, then that's my fault. They have the potential. They're strong. They're athletic, and they have speed. So our lineup should be able to attack you from a few different angles. And, we just need to keep getting better and working hard, which these kids are doing. That's not even a question down their path. I mean, they're coming in and they want to work hard. What I really appreciated was we did have a scrimmage last night. We went down to Richmond Edison, which was incredible because they got that all turf field. I don't think I've ever saw kids when I said, "Hey, we're going to take off tomorrow." Speaking of working hard, ironically, but I said, "Hey, we're going to take off tomorrow." I think they were a little disappointed, and that's a good sign from a coaching standpoint.
I think they saw the weather report and saw that it would be a beautiful day for softball today to get out there and do some work.
Well, today was a good day, but there was a banquet at hand for some players. So, that's okay, though. We were able to make up for it with the all turf down south a little bit.
You brought up the handful of seniors that you do have, and I believe you have more seniors than any other team in the conference this year. So you're going to really lean on that leadership and that experience. How much do you think that's going to really pay dividends for you down the stretch that you have to so many leaders on your team?
That's a great question. Huge dividends. I could tell already the approach from these kids. They're willing to sacrifice for our team chemistry and to succeed at a high level. And, sometimes that unselfish piece, you don't see that really happen a lot, but I see the senior group, they're all in. I mean, and they're excited. And again, working hard, coachable, the great attitude piece, but they're going to add to the team chemistry that makes a difference. And again, from my standpoint, that's just good to see.
And Coach, let's talk about this conference a little bit. Obviously, it's your first year in the AAC, so you got to get used to it a little bit. But you look around and it's pitching. You got you guys, Tori Strines and Boardman, Natalie Davis will also pitch for them, and then you have, of course, Sydney Watts in Fitch. What do you look at when you see the AAC, and how much do you think this league is going to really be competitive this year?
I think it's going to be extremely competitive. I mean, I'm excited. about facing this type of competition. I mean, everybody wants to set their goals and win the AAC. That's our goal. It's going to be a tough battle. Probably happy to be an underdog, so to say, with the caliber of talent that's out there and the teams that are out there. But our team has talked about that a few times already, setting some goals and where do we want to be. And competing for the AAC, they're ready to go to those battles and try and make that happen. But we'll let that take its course. It's like the top conference in the, I want to call it like an SEC, one of those top college conferences. I mean, we have a great conference.
It's a smaller conference, which means you have plenty of opportunities to go outside of it and really beef up your schedule. Who are some teams that pop up outside of that AAC that you're excited to go up against and excited to test your team against?
We have North Canton Hoover, Massillon Jackson, Walsh Jesuit a couple times. I think they were ranked in maybe the top 50 in the country through Max Preps. Green, Field, Revere, Poland a couple times, Champion. We're going down to Myrtle Beach, requesting to play the top competition down there. So, and then you have our league play, and it's going to be a brutal walk in competing each game and getting ready for each of those games. So our one, you have to compete to put yourself in, you have to put yourself in those positions to execute certain scenarios and get better with those. And, if you're not playing the best, you're not going to put yourself in those scenarios to compete at the highest level.
You also come into a year, the first year in a while, that Canfield's been Division II girls softball team instead of Division I. They moved down this year. You go from being one of the smallest Division I teams to one of the biggest Division II teams. What do you think about that, and how much that tournament is going to turn in your favor now that you're a little bit more towards your size of schools when you look at the bracket?
Well, I think we're set in a pretty good place, not only because we're Division II, but I think some of the top Division II schools have moved out of Division II. And last year's state champion Triway is down to Division III. Perennial Hebron Lakewood is down to Division III, down in the Columbus area. You have Keystone moved down to Division III. Poland's down to Division III. So, I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say there's lesser competition, but some of those top players are out. This tournament always weeds itself out into top competition play in itself. But I don't want to say glad to see some of those top teams move out, but it's what it is. We got to prepare. We got to go get ready and make it happen in Division II. And you see on there, we are playing a lot of Division I teams and a lot of the top teams that will help us prepare for the Division II for sure. But it's a pretty good setup. I hear people talk about Division I, Division II. Honestly, it's a little bit night and day. I mean, that Division I is really stiff, whether it's a girls basketball, whether it's softball. You go from 1 to 2. That's a pretty serious differentiation in a level of competition once you start getting through districts and regionals.
So when you're getting to know this team, obviously the personality of a team starts to shine through as you get to know them. How would you kind of describe the personality of this dugout and this roster that you have the ability to coach?
The personality, again, they're fun. They're fun, or they're coachable, but they're fun. And that almost scares me. These kids are making me laugh a little more than I want to this year. But it's a good group. They know when to get serious, put their game faces on, work hard, but they're close knit, and maybe that's just something that I haven't been in a community public school system coaching, but the closeness of these players and the teammates, it's a special bond, and it's fun to be around, but they actually make it fun.
We know it's hard to get Coach Kernan to laugh, so they must be a special group of people. Coach,
yeah.
Before we get you out of here, obviously you have built a great staff at Canfield as well. I want you to take the time to introduce us to your staff and the people that you've put in place to help you out make this Canfield softball program so good.
Well, I really appreciate that. And, I like to brag about the kids. I like to brag about our support system and the boosters at Canfield. It's a little different way of doing business for me, but everybody's been tremendous. But I couldn't brag more than what we have from a staff standpoint. I mean, we have some great experience. We have some great coaching, and it's, not sure everyone appreciates or understands how important that can be. But with the talent we have, 1 through 28 on our roster, I mean, having quality people work with these young kids is very fortunate as a head coach. Our JV head coach, Kerry Durkin, he's been here for a few years. His daughter was a 4-year starting pitcher and had quite the success over the years. He's leading the younger kids program. We brought on board and assisted with him is Joe Mazurek, who's been around for a long time. His daughter has played. He's been coaching the young ladies for a long time, and he brings a lot of great experience as well. And then they picked up CJ Sapp as assistant on the JV. Having that young female to relate to the players a little better than maybe a older man is always beneficial for the coaches. But CJ was a great player, Mooney too, in her day, so she knows how to play the game, and they have her on board. So that JV staff is tremendous. From my varsity standpoint, brought on a good friend of mine who's been coaching for 20 plus years, basketball and softball. He's been pretty successful everywhere he's been. Bernard Bola is on board with me again. He's been with me throughout the years, on and off here and there, different places. And real key asset, in addition to Coach Bola, would be my assistant coach, Barb Bellestrino. I got to throw the plugs in for her, the YSU Hall of Famer, the Ursuline Hall of Famer. She's been with me from day one at Ursuline High School, in my high school career. And for her to be on board with me, I think that's a tier, Coach. It's just special. So I'm real fortunate to have a tremendous staff at Canfield High School with me right now.
Well, Coach, we are so happy that you're back in the area and you're back coaching high school softball with us. We're happy that we get to talk to you a lot again. Thank you so much for the time today. Good luck this season. But before we do let you go, I do want to give one more thing. Shout out to your first game when Canfield fans can first come out and see you guys play in the regular season.
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Real quick. So we're at Louisville High School, our first game on March 25th. And then we have Harding the first 2 days for the AAC on that Monday and Tuesday. But that weekend following, we're going to do the Joanne Kernan Strikeout Cancer at McCune Park on that Friday and Saturday. Great fundraiser. We like to distribute all those proceeds to people in need or organizations supporting cancer victims. So we have a lot of teams coming in for that tournament for the weekend at McCune Park. And a quick thank you to McCune Park for extending assistance to allow us to play there and run the tournament for that weekend. So our first weekend, we're looking for some good, fun, exciting games.
That has been one of the premier softball tournaments in the area for a long time. And I know we'll probably be down there. We'll probably have a couple of crews down there to do a handful of games. What a great cause. What a great tournament. A lot of good teams down there. And like you said, you open the season March 25th. So Canfield fans, it might be a busy day for you. You go, you watch the softball team in Louisville and then come back down into Youngstown. And you got a couple of great basketball players playing in our all-star game at YSU University at night. So what a great day. And, Coach, thanks again for joining us today. We'll hear from you soon. Good luck this season, buddy.
Look forward to being back, and thank you guys for having me, and thank you guys for everything you do for the community.
You got it. Thanks again. Head coach Mike Kernan of the Canfield Cardinals softball team joining us live on Running Point. Great to have him back in the area. I think he's been a staple in the softball community for a long time in this area. Obviously, he took that year to get his college opportunity. Came back now, though. He's back in the high school realm. We can't express how excited we are to have Mike Kernan back in the fold. We're in a different shade, right? We're in that Canfield red now. But he's excited. We're excited. That Canfield team, man, talking about that roster, that is a good softball team. I know they lost some of their big boppers. Maybe there's some of their big power bats in their lineup. Ian Jadala comes to mind, especially one of the extra base hit leaders that they're going to lose. But, you still have a lot of seniors. I think this is not like I'm not looking at it and I can't confirm this, but I think they have more seniors than anybody in that AAC. I know Boardman's kind of young. I know Fitch is going to be kind of young, talented. Both teams very talented. But if you're looking for a little bit of an edge for Canfield, if you're a Cardinals fan, that experience might come in handy in close games. If they get into a close game situation, you never know how that experience and seniority will lead them across the finish line. Melina Toth, she's a quality pitcher. That AAC, Kernan talked about it. It's just stacked. It's the SEC of softball here in the Youngstown area. You look at the pitching. Oh my word! Sydney Watts, Fitch, Melina Toth, Canfield. Then Boardman has Natalie Davis coming back from injury, and Troy Strines coming in for her sophomore season. That's enough for one conference, let alone one area. I'm sure there's a lot of areas, tri-county areas, that would love to have that caliber of pitching just in their coverage map. We have it all in one conference in the AAC. Can't wait to see it unfold. Can't wait to see how Canfield kind of incorporates itself in there and competes in the AAC. So with that being said, we are going to continue our previews today as well. We have a pre-recorded interview to share with you. It's going to be a new head coach that we are going to be introducing you guys to from Springfield. Mike Rubelski from Springfield. He's taken over the job, and it's going to be great to let you guys hear from him. Springfield is a great softball team, and they're looking to win that MVAC. They're going to have a challenge on their hands because that MVAC also loaded with pretty good pitching. They will have Holly McCullough in the circle, but then you look at it, and then McKaylin Thornhill from Jackson Milton, Bree McCombs from McDonald, pitching in the MVAC Scarlet tier. Very good in the top tier of that conference. So don't forget Western Reserve has pretty good pitching as well. So you'll look at that conference. It's going to be a grind in Division 4 to get out of it. Springfield has a really good chance. They have some really good senior leaders. Some of them coming off of that basketball run that went all the way to state. They can bring that, not just that leadership, but that standard of excellence to the softball roster. So we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll play that interview for you guys from Springfield softball. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery only at Sheely's Furniture.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we do the same here on this show every day. I am fully aware that I am losing views today to the March Madness tournament, day one of March Madness, the best time of the year for a lot of sports fans, and I have no qualms with losing my viewership to them. If you are one of the fine people that have decided to for some reason listen to me just ramble about local sports instead of watching March Madness, but are still interested, we'll get you updated. Just 2 games going on right now. West Virginia is down by 2 right going into the second half to Maryland, 32-30, and it looks like halftime as Virginia leads Furman 32-27 in that game. When I left to get ready for this show, Maryland was down by 9. So impressive that they've been able to come back and lead by 2 at halftime. And I picked Maryland to win that game, and I picked Virginia to win that. So looking good so far. I went 4 for 4 in the first 4. So we'll see how the rest of this goes. I'm sure I'll be not perfect at all by the end of the day. That's how the bracket goes. So hope you enjoy it. We're not going to have a show tomorrow because of YSN's March Madness party that we're having as a company, trying to this one day that we take this to kind of have some fun, let loose, recharge our batteries, and come together as a company before the grind of the spring and summer that comes ahead with us. So tomorrow, no show on ysnlive.com. We will take a break and be back on Monday. But today we are battling the viewership of March Madness, and if you have chosen to tune into me instead of basketball, then I thank you, and maybe you'll have a second. I wouldn't blame you at all if you had a second screen up at all. I do not. I just looked at the scores. I promise my attention is fully focused on this show and you guys. Just wanted to share the scores for the people that were kind enough to tune into me and still probably interested in those scores. Today's softball, by the way, we bring out a new softball every day during softball season. Win with the obvious Akron Racers. I mean, obviously, if you know me at all, you know how big of a part of my life the Akron Racers were. I had season tickets for 4 seasons down at Firestone Stadium. Went to just about every home game for 4 years, and a lot of my friends are names are on this ball. This is from 2016, I believe, which was their second to last year as a program. So a lot of good friends on names on this ball, and the Racers will always have a very special place in my heart. If you still go down to Firestone Stadium, they haven't taken down the Racers posters from the last season. You'll still see AJ Andrews on the sides of the walls, and it's always fun to go down there and reminisce on the memories that I've made down in Firestone Stadium. So that is the ball for today. Akron Racers, shout out to all those friends that I've made that came through Akron in the MPF. But now we'll get back to local softball. Actually, we'll get back to the softball. Forget local. That's local. Akron Racers, that's local. We'll go back to softball, and we'll hear from the new head coach of the Springfield Tigers, Mike Grabowski. Excited to meet him. It was a great interview that I had with him this morning, and he's so excited for softball season. Is his first year as a head coach in the softball world. He was on the assistants. He was on the staff last year, and he takes over the head coaching job this year. So here is head coach of the Springfield Tigers softball team, Mike Grabowski, on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Enjoy this conversation. Anthony Harvick here with another great softball coach's corner. I'm joined by Mike Grabowski, the head coach now of the Springfield Tigers. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
So it is your first season as the head coach of the Springfield Tigers, but you have been in the program for a little bit. You were an assistant last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So when you look at this year and what you're expecting out of the girls, let's give some broad expectations that you have of this season before we break down your roster.
I mean, we're a really lucky bunch, so our expectations are pretty high. We have a bunch of veteran players that have been around and played softball for a very long time. So we expect just like most other teams probably around here, expect to compete in our league. Winning a league title is something that we talked about since the first day of winter practices. So that is our expectation. Our expectation, though, on the other end of things is each and every day, improve. At practice, we try to improve each and every day, and each and every game we want to get better. So, our expectations are to improve throughout the season and hopefully compete for a league title.
Let's go over the roster that's going to help you meet those goals. I want you to go over the returning starters that everyone kind of knows by now, and then also maybe some new faces that Springfield fans should start to get familiar with.
Yeah, like I said, I just mentioned, we have 5 returning senior starters. Girls like Hallie McCullough, Gianna Kuda. We have at first base Maddie Lesnick, and shortstop Emily Gerthong, Sammy McKim at third base, and then we have Hannah Lipley coming back from a year off, who will be playing all around the field. So just having that senior leadership, we expect big things from them. Hallie had 19 strikeouts in a game last year. Gianna Pacuda at second base is one of the more reliable players that we have around. Emily Gerthong, Maddie Lesnick, great athletes, just got done playing in the state semifinals in basketball. Sammy McKim at third base is defensively one of the best in the league. So, expectations are really high. We expect improvement from last year and big things from them this year.
What about some new faces to this roster that Springfield fans should get familiar with?
Well, new faces, I can think of some people that maybe last year did not, get as much playing time as they should have, or maybe they've improved from last year. Just thinking off the top of my head, we have Mariah Jones, Nevaeh Cruz. They are going to get a lot of playing time this year in the corner outfield positions, both very quick. If you're a Springfield softball fan, I expect you to see them really making big impacts. So I would remember those 2 names right off the top of my head. We have some freshmen. Anthony, I had 24 girls come out this year. We had 15 last year. I don't know what you've been doing interviews. I don't know if those numbers are high compared to others. So we have a JV this year, and I have freshmen that I'm thinking off the top of my head that may not see any time varsity-wise, but, they're going a girl like Gina Romeo, who is a freshman down in the JV. And when she came to us in December, in November, it's the first time she had played in 4 or 5 years. And now she's pushing for time on the varsity. So I think that there's going to be so many players, maybe just not new faces, some old ones that are going to show some improvement that will help us, through this year.
I'll tell you what, 24 might be the biggest number in the MVAC, especially your Scarlet tier, because
we're so excited. It's great. We have girls that a couple girls have never played before, a couple girls that took a year or 2 off. I think they're probably tired of hearing me trying to get people to play. I'm literally out in the hall screaming, come play softball for me. But it's great. They love practicing. That's the coolest part about it. I can't get them to leave at night, truthfully. It's 5 o'clock and my coaches are like, we got to go.
Everyone that knows softball, coach, knows it starts in the circle with your pitching. And obviously last year, Hallie McCullough put on a show and did a lot of great things. What do you expect from her now that she's a senior and she's kind of developed one more year under her belt and another kind of development in the circle?
Hallie is – I'm lucky to come in this position as a coach with, such a strong group of leaders on our team. Hallie is we're going to win and lose with Hallie on the mound. She has improved. She improves every day at practice. She works very hard. And not only that, but her and her catcher, Rachel Maltog, who is like having another coach on the field with me. Those two working together, I can't ask for much more. I think that they have the ability to just know. You should see them at practice. It's like working together is it's a pretty special thing to see. So if that translates on onto the field. We are excited for Howley's season.
You have a couple of players that are coming off of that basketball team that went all the way to the state semifinals, and obviously they're going to bring that standard that they know it takes to reach that far in a tournament. What's that going to be like to bring that kind of leadership and that kind of work ethic and that kind of standard to your roster?
I think I'm preaching this over and over again, but we're so experienced. Like, a lot of coaches would probably think to themselves, wow, we haven't had two of our really big senior leaders, Emily Gerthung and Madison Lesnick, here during all this time during the off season, and now we have to plug them in 2 weeks. Our first scrimmage on Tuesday. It's luckily we have girls like Gianna Pacuda, who's been there since day one in November, and over the winter. Luckily we have girls like Hannah Leipley, who came back and has been there. So we've had this senior leadership, and now adding Emily and Madison onto the field, and it's nice as I'm a first year coach, and I have two assistants with me this year that are also doing this for the first time. We are fortunate to have those core group of girls, Rachel and Emily and Madison, that are going to be able to they are coaches on the field, which is something that many coaches probably can't say in these interviews.
Since it's your first year, I want to kind of get to know you a little bit. Where's your softball background? How did you get into this sport, and what makes you love it so much?
Well, first off, baseball. I played baseball. I graduated from Canfield in 2004, way back in 2004. Played baseball, coached for a little bit, Babe Ruth, Pony League. Left that to become an adult. And then when I came here to Springfield, there was an opportunity to come on the softball staff, and I jumped on that. And ever since then, my life has seemed, the last 18 months seems to have been consumed with softball. It's a great sport. And the coolest thing about it here at Springfield is that we have such a great group of kids and parents that are just so willing to, help you along the way. Like, as a new coach, you worry that you're not going to be able to fit into a community or really reach the people, and they reach out to you, and they've really just helped me as like a new coach here, learn what I need to learn, not just about being a coach, but as a community member.
So obviously, as a baseball guy coming into softball, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences between the two sports. How hard have you worked to kind of study those differences and to kind of understand softball coming from baseball?
Anthony, I'm not I know I'm not going to learn everything right away. So the first thing I did was, when I was hiring my staff, or when we hired a staff, was, we had some people contact us, and Emily Price, who's new to our staff, she played softball in college. Sierra Brady works. This is what she does for a living. She gives lessons. She coaches girls softball. So I reached out to people that had experience, that they know more than I do about softball, or maybe they can show me something that I don't know about softball. So their depth of knowledge about the game is to the point where sometimes it surprises me. We will have conversations, and it's like, wow, I cannot believe how in depth we're getting into this conversation. So it's a great thing to have people around you on my staff that are so well versed in the game.
As you've been learning about the sport, what was the one thing that was the most surprising to you, or maybe you thought wouldn't be as different, but it is super different? Well, what's one thing?
You know what? To be completely fair, I came into it knowing that every game surprises me. I can't want to pick out one specific thing off the top of my head, because that doesn't give the game justice at all, right? What I can say is that each and every game, each and every situation matters so much, just like in baseball. But it almost seems to me a little bit more tense on these situations. Like, you can have a slap hitter, and that, to me, imagine being a third baseman and you're from, me to this blackboard here watching this girl about to hit it to you. So I'm just amazed at how good some of these players they are. And like I said, it's just so tense. I'm not taking anything away from baseball, but to me, softball seemed to be, I don't know, everything matters a little bit more.
Let's talk about your schedule. Obviously, your first goal will be to win an MVAC championship. You got some tough teams that are really going to contend with you. You guys had some battles with Jackson Milton last year, especially pitching duels. They're bringing back Thornhill in the circle as well. And then you have McDonald, who has Bree McCombs. A lot of good pitching in this MVAC Scarlet tier. What are you kind of expecting out of the MVAC, and where do you see the Tigers, placing in the conference?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you if I didn't say that I didn't think we had an opportunity to compete for the league. I mean, hopefully every coach that comes on here believes that as well. We know it's going to be tough. We know that each and every game is going to be a dogfight. We want to see good pitching. A lot of my girls that play travel ball, like Rachel Malatok wants to see the best pitchers around. Allie wants to see the best pitchers. My sophomores like Olivia Allen and Hannah Stouffer, they want to see the best pitchers around. And that's the coolest part about this team. They want to play the best. They want to compete against the best. And luckily our conference is super competitive. We are tested each and every night. So it's exciting. We like to be competitive. The girls are uber competitive in practice, and we'll be uber competitive on the field.
So obviously, if you want to make a run at the end of the season, you also have to beef up the non-conference schedule and try to test yourselves outside of the MVAC. Who are some teams outside of your league that you're excited to test yourself against and you're excited to challenge yourself against?
Well, I know we play Hubbard twice. We played them last year, and off the top of my head, I believe the score was maybe 10-0. I remember that one. That was the first time I ever coached the game in high school. I was assistant coach, and I was really excited, and I was pumped, and it was cold, and it was probably one of the coldest I've ever been in my life. And we lost. We got beat pretty bad that day. And I remembered it since. So our girls remembered it since. So that's one we're looking forward to. We really want to play the best, and we remember that they were way better than us that day. And that's a thing that we've talked about. We want to remember the games that we weren't good in and get better because of those games. So challenging yourself with teams like Hubbard. We play Struthers, we play Girard. These are teams that we love competing against the best teams around. And there's not one that I'm like just raring to go against, but if they're good and they want to play, we are willing to do so.
You have about a little less than 2 weeks until the opening day. I think you open the season,
which is crazy, right? I mean, I can't believe it's already here.
So you'll have a couple of scrimmages between now and then, a couple more practices. What are some goals that you want to reach before opening day comes onto you?
I wish that the weather would stay like it is right now. That would be a goal of mine. Will we scrimmage twice next week? Seeing live pitching that isn't our girls, not seeing a machine. That a goal of mine is to get outside, each and every day we preach, do the little things right. This might seem monotonous. This might seem like it's basic stuff. But if I leave practice every day and I think that my girls gave their best effort and we've done the little things right, that's a goal of mine every single day. So getting out there onto the field would be great. We're going to go hit some fly balls today, which is awesome because it's really tough to, practice catching the ball in a gym. So getting outside, seeing some live pitching, improving it each and every day. Those are our goals.
So obviously everyone that plays softball or coaches softball knows how big the community is, knows how tight-knit the softball community is. How much have you tried to network other coaches and trying to build relationships around the softball world and trying to kind of insert yourself into the community of this sport?
I guess that's one thing that I probably need to work a little bit harder on. I've just been so uber focused here at Springfield. I know a few names around. But that is something that hopefully over this next year, I can, there's some people in here that have been doing this for decades. And here I am walking onto the field as a coach for the first time. So hopefully I can earn the respect of some of my peers this year. and get into that community. So, I mean, there is a wealth of knowledge out there, and that is something that I would love to tap into here soon. But again, I've been just so head down working, to get our team here in Springfield where it needs to be. So hopefully that'll come with time. Hopefully I've given the time here at Springfield to get into that community.
You talked about how pumped you were last year for the first game that you were able to coach as an assistant. So what's it going to feel like opening day? You get to be the one that goes to home plate and have the coaches meeting with the umpire and the other coach get to trade the lineups and that kind of feeling. What's that going to be for you? What's it going to be like for you?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm amped up right now, even thinking about it. Like the girls are going to have to like hold me back or something. When it comes to things like that, I think if I go home and talk about softball after softball practice to my girlfriend another night, she's going to kick me out because it's literally like what I've always been thinking about. So I can't, and I want to just say that it's not just me. My coaching staff is excited. Emily Price, for her first practice back, she played college ball, and she was just grin ear to ear. Sierra Brady lives for this. This is her. She loves softball. It's her thing. Like it's that she loves it so much. And then the girls, they cannot wait to get on the field. So yeah, I'm pumped, but I can't say that I'm the only one here. I think that up and down the 27 of us that are involved with this softball team this year, each and every one of us is just chomping at the bit to get out there and play that first game.
I'll tell you what, if you're anything like me, you'd come home from a softball game and then you turn on the softball game. Watch it on TV.
I'm telling you, honestly, it is. My girlfriend last night to me said, I'm going to bed. It is 10:30. Like, okay, we'll talk about first and third base situations tomorrow. And I don't know. I'm just excited.
All right. Before we let you go, I know you've brought up your staff a little bit, but I do want to give you a chance to really give them a shout out and what it was like to put together a staff and kind of what were some of the things you were looking for when you put it together, and obviously the assistants that you settled on and what they're bringing to the program already.
Hey, I'm the first time doing this. The first thing I thought was if I actually went to the girls. I went to the seniors, and a couple of key juniors like Rachel Maltog, Gabby Nalvadenko, and I said, what would you look for in a coach if you're in my position, a male that coaches softball? What would you look for in a coach? Experience, depth of knowledge, somebody that can relate to the team. So we went out and as a unit, myself and athletic, Mr. Bob Beam, he's the one that is bringing me these names, and these are the people that lined up. There's somebody that knows the game, somebody that can relate to the girls. Positive attitude is something we preach. Positive. Have fun. Softball is fun. You guys are teenagers. Go out there and have fun doing this. So we look for someone that knew what they were doing, knew the game, can relate to this team, and we can have fun doing this. And I hopefully, as of right now, if you ask me right now if we were right in who we've hired, I would say A+. So I'll talk to you in a few months and we'll go from there.
Coach, it's great to meet you and get a chance to talk with you and preview the Springfield softball season. We thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck this year, and we hope that we are able to talk to you again real soon.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate everything you do. This is a really cool thing you guys do with YSN. I love it. It's I've been following you guys for a while now, so I'll appreciate you.
We appreciate it, Coach, and we'll see you out at some games hopefully this year too.
All right, buddy. Have a good
Rookie mistake. Not unmuting myself before I come back from a interview. I think I sound better now. I just realized while I was playing those interviews back, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Wasn't coming through this mic, so that's another rookie mistake. But good thing, like I said, a lot of people are watching March Madness today instead of me. So if you're gonna pick a day to make that mistake, it is today for sure. That's a great head coach from Springfield. I love the passion that he brought to that interview. Like, he is so pumped and so ready for this opportunity to coach the softball team and to be the head coach and to have it on his shoulders. I love the passion and I love the energy that he's bringing to this program. I think Springfield is going to be a really good softball team. Obviously, Hallie McCullough, one of the best arms that we saw last year. 19 strikeouts in one game is pretty legit. Um, and then I was broadcasting when she got into a straight up pitcher's duel with McKeelan Thornhill from Jackson Milton, back and forth, back and forth. No one seemed to be able to score until the last couple innings. They're actually going to open with Jackson Milton, I believe, on March 27th. So that's going to be a fun one. You get one of the big MVAC series right out of the gates, weather permitting. We're always crossing our fingers for weather. But Springfield looking like a really promising team this year. That's the second MVAC school that we've been able to talk to so far this year. Can't wait to also get the other ones on. McDonald, new coach in Western Reserve as Katie Sarinsky takes over their program. We talked to Fred Moots earlier. Their former head coach of Western Reserve, Mike Cook, has moved on to be an assistant at Boardman. So a little bit of shifting there as a coaching staff for Western Reserve. But looking forward to all of that, and we'll continue our softball previews as the day goes on. As I said before, there's not going to be a running point tomorrow. We're going to have our YSN kind of party. We're having a March Madness party. Is just an opportunity for us as a company to kind of get together and recharge our batteries and build fellowship and kind of celebrate the winter sports season and get ourselves recharged and ready for the grind that's going to be the spring and summer, because there's really, once spring ends, we go right into our summer baseball and softball coverage. So there's not a lot of gap between what we do in the spring and what we do in the summer. So we're taking the day tomorrow to kind of have a YSN staff party and to be able to just kind of get together as a group and fellowship with each other and build relationships and all that fun stuff. So won't be a show tomorrow on Running Point, but we will be back on Monday. But since there's no show tomorrow, I want to close today's show by reminding you that over the weekend we have a pretty dang big basketball game on Saturday night. Do not forget, we talked about it on Monday and a little bit on Tuesday. So now that some time has passed, we got some wrestling in there and we got some more softball and baseball previews in there. Don't want to forget that Hoban is still playing basketball. They are going to be in the state semifinals on Saturday against Toledo St. John. Titans versus the Knights. Going to be a good one. Ty Bartell and Tom O'Brien will be on the call from the UD Arena, which has been in the full light of the national broadcast the last couple of days as they host the first four in the men's basketball tournament. So can't wait to be down there again with Ty and Dom on the call. 8:30 is the start time for that game. Hoban versus Toledo St. John. Winner will play on Sunday in the state championship game. That game will also be at 8:30. So we're hoping for two games this weekend, but we have at least one in Dayton, with the Knights making their first trip to the state tournament in 25 seasons. So a long drought for the Knights basketball program has been snapped, and they are going back to the state's semifinals. Once again, that game will tip off from Dayton at 8:30. Ty Bartell and Dom O'Brien will have the call. This game will be audio only because of the video rights that are held by the OHSAA and Spectrum Sports. But the good news is, because it's audio only, it will also be free. We do not charge for audio only broadcasts. We still have to pay the OHSAA for the broadcast, but we feel that with audio only, it is only fair to put that out for free. So it'll be a free stream, but it will be audio only at 8:30 from Dayton. Ty Bartell, Dom O'Brien once again on the call. Should be a fun one. And if Hoban wins, they will play again on Sunday. So when we come back on Monday, we might have two games to talk about and recap. Hopefully we can get maybe Ty or Tom on the show on Monday to kind of recap the weekend for Hoban, especially if the Knights are able to win a state championship. Fingers are crossed, because we have we have some important local basketball to watch over the weekend to go along with March Madness. I hope you enjoy the weekend. I hope all your brackets survive the weekend. Hopefully we can come back on Monday and a lot of your brackets are still alive. Man, it's going to be fun. I love March Madness. It's going to be a fun time. For Anthony Hartwig, this has been Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll see you back here on Monday from 1 to 2.